Picture this. You're living in Hong Kong in the spring of 1992. The weather isn't that nice, so you decide to go do something indoors. How about go see a movie? So you go to the local movie theater, but now you have to decide what movie to watch. You see some poster with a cop and a baby on it, so you decide to see it. It looks interesting enough. You grab your popcorn and drinks, sit down, and then the movie starts. And it goes something like this. This is John Woo's 1992 action film Hard Boiled, the greatest action film that most of you have never seen. Slight spoilers for the film ahead. Hard Boiled follows a relatively simple story. It follows a police inspector in Hong Kong nicknamed Tequila, played by Chow Yun-fat, a hard-boiled guy who's trying to take down a dangerous group of tribe members. And after discovering a dangerous scheme going on, teams up with an undercover cop, played by Tony Leung, to take them down. Not a very complex plot, but a very effective one that is very well executed, especially when paired with the overall action of the film. Before we talk about Hard Boiled itself, let's talk about the man behind the film, that being writer and director John Woo. In the US and other Western countries, he's primarily known for directing Face Off and Mission Impossible 2. But the reason he got those jobs were his works in the Hong Kong action scene in the 80s and 90s. Wu had spent years honing his craft, releasing the action films A Better Tomorrow and its sequel, The Killer and Once a Thief, slowly improving his craft with each and every one up until Hard Boiled. The big difference between Hong Kong action compared to American action is that Hong Kong action focuses on long action scenes combined with elements of martial arts throughout, never feeling slow whatsoever. There's no quick edits or stunt doubles, which makes this form of action feel so much different than what the West delivers, as it feels more authentic and impressive. Hard Boiled perfects all of these elements to a T, being the quintessential example of a Hong Kong action film and the perfect one to get you into this form of cinema. One of the things about foreign movies is making you feel like a part of the countries they take place in, with Hard Boiled bringing you into this atmosphere very well. Whether it's France, Mexico, Japan, Russia, Brazil, or any other country, a good film really tries to bring you into its setting, something which Hard Boiled excels at. Hong Kong is such an interesting place in the world, especially in the 1990s, a crossroad between the East and the West. Not feeling entirely like an Asian city, but not like a Western one either, and seeing the city day and night throughout is fascinating to see. Nowadays it's harder to see that. Most films are shot in studios and on green screens, and if they are filmed somewhere, it's usually in Toronto and made as generic as possible. And that really sucks. Films that embrace their setting can often elevate the viewing experience, and that's one joy of watching films from around the world. Now let's talk a little about the film itself, and why it's so special. Hard Boiled follows your typical action film structure, introducing the main characters at the beginning and the antagonists as well, seeing the conflict unfold more and more, and the big action sequences in the third act. But it excels at each of those little things so well that it really sticks with you and shows you the true potential that action movies have. Let's talk about our two central characters, Inspector Tequila and undercover cop Alan. First off, both really good performances. Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung are both really talented actors and some of the best Asian actors alive. Despite the language barrier, which really doesn't matter the most, especially in an action film, these are very impressive performances by guys capable of carrying a film no matter how hard it is. Let's talk about Tequila first. He's your standard, tough, stern cop who has a no-nonsense attitude and is willing to do anything to stop the bad guys. While we've seen this trope many times before, combined with the other aspects of this film, this trope feels really fresh. At the very beginning of the film, Tequila's friend Benny dies, along with many other civilians, in a very deadly shootout. The first of many impressive action sequences in the film. So Tequila makes it his goal to kill every single one of these gangsters for all of the despicable crimes across Hong Kong, and the chaos and destruction they're willing to cause later on. Tequila is a typical badass hero. I mean, just look at the poster. How much cooler can you get? Like your typical leading action hero from the time like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Bruce Willis, Chow Yun-fat's charisma and tough attitude are a standout of this film. Even though you've seen this type of role before, because you know a little more about Tequila and his personal connection to this, it makes the ensuing drama of the film a lot more interesting. Especially as things continue to go south for the Hong Kong officers, as these gangsters seem to be invincible. Chow Yun-fat and his character are great, but our second co-lead is what makes this film special. Tony Leung's character Alan is the most interesting and complex character of the film. When looking at the poster of the film and reading the synopsis, it's basically advertised as just Chow Yun-fat's film. But as the film progresses, especially once you enter the second act, Tony Leung emerges as the co-lead of the film and makes it much more interesting and complex than it originally appeared to be. At first, Alan appears to be a ruthless criminal trying to make it up in the ranks of the film's antagonist Johnny Wong's gang, appearing to be heartless and killing anyone to achieve the gang's goals. But once both Tequila and the audience discover Alan is an undercover cop, that's when things change. Your perspective shifts on him, as he increasingly is pressured into more and more horrific things as he patiently waits to take down these criminals once and for all. We saw very early on another undercover cop got killed, so it's highly possible that this could happen to him as well. As Alan tries to balance his life secretly working with Tequila, alongside and trying to not get caught by Johnny Wong's deadly gang, Alan ultimately emerges as the most interesting character of the film that you wish you could see more of. But when Alan's absent, you're always wondering what he's doing at the moment as the film progresses further and further to the end. Another well-written and vastly interesting character, something you don't see much of in most action films then and now. The rest of the side characters are nothing too special, they just serve their purpose in the film and are fun to see whenever they have to interact with Tequila and Alan. Johnny Wong and his henchmen are scary and threatening villains. Tequila's girlfriend Teresa and the people at the jazz bar are a nice escape from the constant crime and chaos of the film, and my favorite being Tequila's superior Pang, who hate working with one another. That first scene near the beginning of the film where they're arguing, screaming, and cursing at each other in Pang's office while the other cops just watch in amusement is easily the funniest scene of the film, and a laugh out loud moment no matter who you are. But now, let's talk about the most important and best part of the film, that being of course, the action. But before we do that, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new here. Only, Jesus, 4% of you guys are subscribed. Damn. Let's get that percentage up, at least till the double digits, as it really helps the channel a lot. I mean it. I appreciate every one of your support. But anyways, let's get back into the video. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Hong Kong action is so unique that you just have to watch it for yourself. Whether a John Woo film or a film starring Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee, the combination of long sequences with martial arts makes it so special and captivating to watch no matter who you are. There's very few edits and nobody has body doubles, so the action just flows naturally and quickly. The technical aspects of the film gets the job done right. The cinematography and production design helping tremendously whenever an action scene begins as more and more destruction begins to happen. Background characters, whether just normal civilians or gun-wielding gangsters, are just as capable as the leading characters of the film, elevating this already extraordinary movie. Inside every building, it feels fully utilized for any type of action scene, big or small. And when they happen outside, the Hong Kong setting, whether in the bustling city or on the waterfront, feels grand and epic as well. Not just some generic city where it seems like everyone there is an NPC, but a lively and bustling city full of people living their everyday lives, who seem to have just been caught up in some sort of crazy carnage. But when we're talking about the action scenes of the film, I have to of course talk about the final one. That being the big hospital shootout and final confrontation with Johnny Wong and his gang at the end of the film. Now, if you haven't seen the film, it may appear to be just a typical final climax that has some big explosions and final confrontations, but it's much more than that. Practically the entire third act is set in this hospital. Around 30 to 40 minutes of this film are just set in this massive location, so it ultimately feels like much more than just another location, but a character in its own right, as bizarre as that may seem. At the beginning, you get to see the doctors, nurses, and patients of the hospital, and learn the geography of this facility as well. And once the gangsters and cops get there, and the chaos emerges, the result is one of the greatest action sequences in film history. It's quite literally 30 minutes of gunfighting and explosions, with little room here and there for quick breaks from this constant onslaught of bloodshed. To put it bluntly, it's just really cool to watch. You're rooting for Tequila and Alan the whole way through as one by one these gang members you've seen throughout the film get taken down. But the risk for our two leads dying is also pretty high as well. And this is where the babies come in, as dozens of them are left behind in the maternity ward as the cops have to rush in and rescue them before the whole hospital blows up, with Tequila having to rescue the very last one, which is captivating to watch the whole way through. I'm not going to spoil the ending of the film if you haven't seen it. It's immensely satisfying to see and wraps everything up very nicely. But this ending is just as consistent as the whole rest of the film itself. This entire hospital sequence is to this day one of the best action sequences of all time, even compared with action films with more advanced technology and budgets that are 10 or even 15 times as big as this. By focusing on aspects behind and in front of the camera, from people who have spent years or even decades mastering it, results in a movie made by people at the highest point of their career, showing that they have perfected what an action movie is and why this is still one of the biggest genres to this very day. Despite how amazing and impressive Hard Boiled was back then, and even today, it was one of the last films of its kind. You see, the early 90s were sort of the end of this era for Hong Kong action cinema. John Woo, Chow Yun-fat, and many other Hong Kong directors and actors moved to Hollywood to work on big-budget English action films throughout the rest of the 90s and 2000s. This resulted in some good films, but many had missed potential as they focused more on Western action rather than the Hong Kong action that made them so special in the first place. Although most returned back to Hong Kong and made movies there and out west, there never truly was a big wave of movies like this from this era. Although from time to time there are a few special films. Like many movements, at the very end we saw some of the best of this wave of projects, like Hard Boiled, a masterpiece of film crafted by legends of the genre. Hard Boiled is one of the greatest and most impressive action films of all time, and a true cinematic masterpiece along with that. Created by legends of the industry, Hard Boiled really showed why Hong Kong action is so special and beloved by millions around the globe. Despite cultural and language differences, you're bound to enjoy and most likely love this film. A very influential film whose influences can be seen in practically any big action film or large blockbuster. Hard Boiled's simple yet effective narrative, two amazing leads, and non-stop action the whole way through made it a gem even 3 decades later. So if you haven't seen this film, then go check it out, because this is the best action movie that you have never seen. Thanks for watching this video to the very end. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe, as it helps me and the channel out tremendously as we try to reach 1,000 subscribers. Check out one of these videos as well for more fire content just like this. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys this week, and I hope to see you all next time.